Hello, this is Ashley Kay, and it's a beautiful sunny Monday here in Australia. I thought I would make a video for you just to help you along a little bit, talk a bit about why I wanted to do this program and what inspired me and what pulled me to want to do it. It's actually something I feel quite passionate about because I remember after my last serious relationship ended and I was single for quite a while, I just remember a lot of people telling me, like guys I would go on dates with, friends, family, they would ask me like, what do you want? What are you looking for? And I would tell them, and they would just say, you might want to lower your standards a little bit, or you're asking for a bit much. You do have your standards are a bit high. And I just remember that period where in the beginning I thought, well, I've dated guys in the past. I know like they didn't suit me very well. So I had this idea of what I did want. So it wasn't just like I was just pulling things out of the air saying I wanted this ideal perfect man. I actually did know like this kind of guy is what I need and what I want. Okay. And the fact that there were so many people who thought I was asking for a lot made me realize the people who were telling me this, I would look at their relationships and think, well, no wonder you would say that because clearly you settled, and it made me think a lot of you guys probably in similar boats. If you have friends and family who tell you have high standards or who try to give you advice, and yet when you look at their relationship, they're not really in an ideal relationship either. If they're always coming to you complaining about this and that, how they're not really happy, then they're just trying to keep you down to a level where they are. And that's something I guess I felt I wanted to be that friend, that positive influence in your life to come in and say, no, you deserve the best. You should not settle, and you can get what you want. I want to do that because I just think today's world, there's so much negativity out there and so much, you can't have that because of fear and insecurity. And I don't think that's a really good message to be giving to women. You don't want to mute yourself and make yourself small and make yourself feel like you don't deserve, the best. So that's why when I was dating, I had bad moments where I did think, well, maybe they're right. Maybe I should be more realistic. But as I started dating, I realized I would rather be single than settle. That was my thinking at the time. And actually, I still stand by that, and I'll tell you why that is really important. Because if you've come from bad relationships, just think about that. Would you really want to go back to a bad relationship than be single? For me personally, I would rather be single. I found I had a really good single life. I had great friends. I went out. Had a social life. I enjoyed myself when I was single. And I just thought, if my time with a man, in a relationship with a man, isn't better than my time being single, then it's just not worth it. So that's why definitely, if you're struggling, if you are single but you don't want to be, and you notice everyone else around you having relationships, just keep that in mind. Those relationships might not be that good. Those people may have settled because they just didn't want to be alone. But you're different. You're going to make sure you make your single life, really, really good, really enjoyable. You're going to be happy, so you're not needy for any kind of mediocre relationship. You're not going to settle for any man that comes along because you've got that standard. You've got that standard. It needs to be this certain way, and if it's not at least better than that, then you're not going to have that. So that's why my message and my inspiration is really for women to not settle, go for the best, and I'll help you with the roadmap of how to get it. So now a question that you may have is, what is the best? How do I know what the best is for me? My short, brief explanation of what the best is basically someone who brings out the best in you and also makes you feel like the most beautiful, most cherished, and adored woman in the whole world. He needs to have those two qualities. That's very important. So, for example, if he only has one, so I'm going to use my sister as an example. She dated this guy who she really put her all into this relationship. She, tried really hard to please him, made sure when he got home from work, the house was clean. She had dinner cooked for him. She did all this for him. So she, in that way, it brought out the best in her, because before that, she didn't really try at all with guys. She kind of just let the guy take care of her and do everything for her. She didn't put any effort into any of her previous relationships. So in that way, that was good, because it showed that, she was willing to put effort into this one, which is good. And by the way, if you put effort into a relationship, it means you value it more as well. But the problem was, he lacked the second quality, which is he didn't make her feel like the most beautiful, cherished, and most adored woman in the whole world. In fact, he made her feel like crap 50% of the time, or more percent of the time. And actually, in the end, it was pretty bad. He cheated on her, and it was just a mess. So that's why I have to, say he needs to have both qualities. Okay, if you find, on the other hand, a guy who does make you feel really beautiful, adored, does everything for you, is absolutely head over heels in love with you, but you don't feel like you need to do anything for him, you don't feel like you need to work for it, you're definitely not doing everything you can for the relationship, probably because you feel like you don't have to. So because he's giving you the impression, he'll take anything that you give him. If he gives you that impression, then that's not the best guy for you either. The problem with that kind of guy is, over time, you're going to resent him. You're going to resent him because he's not going to push you to grow in the way that you need to. The best guy for you is someone who brings out the best in you, whatever the best for you means, and also makes you feel like the most beautiful, cherished, and adored woman in the whole world. He needs to make you feel really, really special. So special that you feel like every other woman should get that in their life, because it's just so wonderful. It's over the top wonderful. That's the kind of guy who I believe is the best for you. So I want to share a bit about my own story and how I got to this point, because I think that may be important information for you to know. Before I met my current fiance, I dated these two guys, and and I bring them up because they're quite important in the way they led me to the decisions that I made. The first guy that I dated, or I met him through a art thing. I like to draw and he liked to draw, so we bonded in that way. So I thought, when I met him, I thought, wow, he's really cute. We get along really well. We have great rapport. We had really interesting, deep conversations, so we can connect on an intellectual level as well. So it was really good. And in fact, it kind of ended up being a date, even though it wasn't. So we met at this thing, and then it somehow ended up being a date. So we spent half a day together, basically. And at the end of the day, he kissed me. And I thought, wow, this is going super well. It's going really well. Not only did I meet this great guy who I have a lot in common with, I'm super attracted to, we're on the same wavelength, but he's also into me. That's great. And I know how rare that is, so I was definitely valuing that. But then after that, I went home, and after that, didn't really hear from him. Didn't hear from him again. It really cut me. And it's funny how you can meet someone and you only may have spent a day with them, like a few hours with them, and yet that feeling when they don't give you that validation, they don't pursue you, they don't make you feel good, it still hurts. It still hurts just as bad as if you dated for a few months or a few years and then they left. Sometimes it can hurt even more because you feel like you did everything right. They didn't even know you, and then they just lost interest like that. It really hurt. And for me, it was a huge I mean, my self-esteem took a huge hit, because before that, I was enjoying my single life. I was doing my thing. I was fine until I met him. And then after that, when he didn't give me that validation, oh my gosh, I just crashed. I felt like crap. I kept thinking, was there something I did? Was I not pretty enough? And all these thoughts started going into my head. After that, we met up a couple of times, and I think I still, because I liked him so much, I still tried to spend time with him. I tried to meet up with him and spend more time with him, because I thought if he just spent more time with me, he'll see how cool I am and he'll start to like me more. And what ended up happening was the relationship actually turned towards more of a casual relationship. And because I could see it turning more casual, I had to put a stop to that, because that wasn't what I wanted at that time. I wanted a relationship. I wanted him to take me seriously. I didn't want to just be a sex buddy. But it still hurt, because I thought, if I spent more time with him, he might like me more and then want a relationship with me. That did not end up happening. So that took me a while to get over, even though our time together was so brief. It didn't really matter. Now, the second guy number 2, was almost the exact same scenario, and it happened again. Same guy, similar situation. I met this really cute guy at this time. It was at a seminar, and got along super well. Had heaps in common. I could see we had the similar values, and we ended up going on a proper date, and the date went well. We both opened up to each other, and I just thought, wow, this is really good. I mean, we very quickly connected. And then after that, we still spoke, but his interest level just slowly petered off. So he just contacted me less and less over time. And once again, that one hurt just as badly, if not more so, than the first guy. And I mean, now looking back, it was probably similar, but at the time, I was really messed up for a little while, because I thought this guy was really cool, he liked me, and then it just didn't end up working out. I mean, I could tell he was pulling away from me and being distant, and it was hard to accept, basically. And with that one, I just put an end to that myself, because I just thought, the quicker I end this, the easier it will be for me to move on. Now, this is why I say this to you. Writing in a journal was super important, because with the second guy, I realized, there's a pattern here. I experienced similar thing before. At this point, I started journaling nearly every day. I was writing. I had so many thoughts and feelings. I started just writing all of them down. I was like, if this happens a second time, it could be a pattern. I don't know for sure, but it could be a pattern. I want to make sure I document everything. So if it happens again, I'll try to avoid this situation happening again, because clearly there are things I'm doing with both guys that is not working. Okay, that's something that I talk about and I teach, is learning to analyze your own behavior and adjusting over time. If you don't do that, and a lot of people don't do it, but if you don't watch your own behavior and adjusting, you could run the same pattern over and over again. And you see women who do repeat. They attract the same kind of guy, the relationship goes the same way, and it ends the same way as well. And in the long run, the worst thing about it is that you start to feel like there's something wrong with you. Okay, if all these guys are showing initial interest and then they're disappearing, then you can't help but feel like maybe there's something wrong with me. Why are they all disappearing? What's wrong with me? That's the negative mindset I'm talking about that you want to avoid, because it's not necessarily that at all. But it's important that you start documenting and start analyzing your own behavior. I guess I'm the kind of person who I don't like to repeat my mistakes too many times. Like, I'll repeat them 2 to 3 times, but really I don't want to repeat them after that, because I don't see the point of going back and, doing it again. That's why I just went deep into self-analysis and just being super aware of what I was doing. After all that, I met, actually, after all that, I realized what was going on was that with those two guys, even though I thought I was enjoying my single life, I had my life and my friends, and I thought I enjoyed being single, deep down, I wasn't really happy. I was still looking for a guy to feel a hole in me, okay? And the reason I know that now was because as soon as I met those guys and I was like, wow, this guy's really, really awesome. I can see him being my boyfriend. I started to change. I started to invest in him. I started to believe that, oh, this guy is going to rescue me, is going to make me feel better, and, I started to feel relief. And that's how you know too that you don't really want to be single. It could be, I'm not saying you're lying to yourself, but there's definitely a part of you that wants a relationship, and it's why you want that relationship. You want a guy to make you feel good. You want a man's validation. Once you don't get that, you go through all these emotional turmoil and you start to sabotage yourself. You start to act needy, start to chase him. You do all these things that doesn't help, instead of recognizing this guy, if he wanted you, he'll come after you. If he doesn't want you, for whatever reason, it's okay too. You're still going to continue on with your life. It's fine. Now, with my current fiance, who I'm engaged to, I was a little bit different with him because I made sure I was in a different headspace with him. What happened was I made sure that my life at that time, I was doing the things in my life I've always wanted to do. So for me, it was art. I love art, so I was just doing the kind of art I wanted to do and really pursuing that. And I didn't really care what anyone thought. And I was just happy doing that, I was putting a lot of energy into it and focus into it. So when I met my current guy, I liked him a lot. We got along super well, but I didn't, because of the first two guys that I knew through experience, that if I wanted to keep something going on with him and see where it developed, I needed to first take it slow and also not put so much emphasis on him. Make sure I focus on my art and on my life and on everything else that I'm happy about. Focus more intently on that, because that is making me happy. I'm not pretending it makes me happy. It really does make me happy. And that's why I say, if in your current life situation, you're not happy about work, you're not happy about, how you look, or your friendship situation, or your family situation, or whatever, your life looks like, it's more likely when a good guy comes along, you're going to be needy and clingy because you want him to distract you from all the other crap that's going on in your life. You want him to be that guy that rescues you from all that. So that's why I say, if you make your life something that you're happy about anyway, you're doing the things you're happy doing, you're creating new friendships or mending old friendships, you're exercising, you're feeling good about yourself, you would do these things anyway, regardless of whether there's a guy in your life or not, then when a good guy comes along, you won't really need him to rescue you, but you will recognize that, oh, this guy is good and I want to keep talking to him, but at the same time, I'm not that invested. I still have, my great life that I'm also super focused on. And when you have both, it's more likely you're just going to be able to take your time with him. You won't want to rush it. When your life is crappy and a good guy comes into your life, you want to rush. You want to be like, okay, let's quickly get into a relationship. Let's quickly move it along because I want to feel good now. Whereas if your life is already good and a good guy comes along, you don't need to rush. You already feel good, so you can take your time. The other thing I want to mention is expecting fear. So something that is talked about a lot is needing to take a risk. So when you really like someone, there will come a point in your relationship where you get so close, you feel like, okay, someone needs to take that first step because both parties are scared. And this is something I experienced too with my current guy. When we first started dating, I knew that if I really liked him, and I did, I would have to put myself out there. I would have to take that first step and risk getting hurt myself with no guarantees. Okay, so it kind of feels like, if you can picture it, you walking into a pitch black room, not knowing if there's holes on the floor, if the ceiling is going to collapse on you, if there's a wall directly in front of you, and without knowing anything, pitch black room, you're going to keep putting one foot over the other, because you have to trust. Basically trust that it's going to be okay. If there was a hole in the floor or the ceiling's going to collapse, you're still going to be okay. And that's a really, really scary feeling. But I tell you now to prepare you for it, because if you really like a guy, if a guy really resonates with you and he's really awesome, and that's what we're going for, right? Awesome guys. There will definitely come a point where you're going to be scared of losing him. That is almost a fact. If you never feel that fear of losing him, then you probably don't like him that much. You're probably not that invested. You probably just picked the safe option, okay? So provided you didn't pick a safe option, you really did pick a guy you really, really like and you connect really well with, you're going to feel that fear. And I'm here to tell you now to be brave, don't be scared. Well, don't be too scared. And just keep putting one foot over the other, and just know that if you have that inner confidence, if you make yourself strong in the beginning, with your life, your family support, your friends support, then it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay either way. And whether it works out or not, whether he wants you or not, or loses interest, it's still okay. You're not going to fall apart. That is a really, really important thing for you to know about yourself, because that's what builds character. That's what builds your strength, your mental, emotional strength. I'm preparing you for that now. It probably, if it hasn't happened yet, it will happen. So just keep telling yourself, keep reminding yourself that it's okay. I really, really like this guy. He's worth it. He's worth me taking that risk. Say to yourself, I'd rather know what could have happened than have that opportunity lost to me forever. So that is purely on you, and I really encourage you to go with that and not be afraid, okay? And if you are afraid, if you're going through that, feel free to email me. I may not always be able to get back to you, but just, if you want, send me your story or whatever you're fearful of, and just know that someone's been in your shoes. I definitely have been in your shoes. And once again, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Because I was able to put myself out there, take that risk, now I'm happily engaged, to a wonderful, wonderful man. He is even better than I thought, from the beginning. So I'm telling you, it's definitely possible. Expect it will happen, and it will happen. So the message today on this video, hopefully it's inspired you and prepared you for what to expect. The key is to journal everything, put some effort into analyzing your own behavior. If you're looking at this and thinking, well, that's a lot of work, I don't want to do all this analysis and writing and thinking, then think about what you're really saying if you say that. Are you really saying my happiness is not worth effort? Is not worth me putting effort in. Getting into a really, really good relationship, the best relationship, that's not worth an effort. That's what you're saying. And I know that's not you. I wouldn't be here talking to you right now if that was you. So I know you want to put a bit of effort in, take some time to do it. Journal, document, think about the things that I bring up, and analyze yourself. Like I did. And you may find really interesting things about yourself. Maybe some things you don't want to face. Maybe that as well. But it's all a learning process. It's all a journey, and it's about growth. So it will all matter in the end. And just imagine, once you find that guy, you can share all this stuff with him. It's going to pay off in the end when you have that guy. You don't need 5 wonderful guys. You just need one, okay? So as long as you do the work, you just find that one guy and you connect with that one guy, that's all you need, because that one guy is going to make your life so much better. He's going to enhance your life and make it extraordinary instead of ordinary. I hope this video has been helpful for you. Please write to me if you have any questions, thoughts. I'd love to hear your feedback, and I'll be back soon with another video.